everybody, it's Matt Wrestling with Whiskey back one more time. Once again, not alone this time. We are joined by the one, the only Kentucky Owls, Dixon Dedman. We're going to play your game here right now. We're going to do a little whiskey in a box. How are you today?
I'm good, man. Thanks. This is awesome. This is a thrill.
Hell yeah. No, I'm happy. I'm happy you can make it happen, everything like that. I mean, so like what brought out, I got to ask, what brought up like the box? I mean, everyone's done blind tastings obviously and stuff, but what made you go, screw, I'm just going to throw one of my old boxes over this box?
I don't really know. I mean, it was kind of one of those things I was thinking about, something fun and something, even just to take my mind off everything and something I thought might turn into something. I really didn't envision it going as far as it has gone, but there were a bunch of people just kind of like at the end or in our bars, and I was like, hey, I got this idea. Why don't you all go downstairs, put some stuff in a glass, put the bottle in a box, and I'm going to try to figure out what it is. And it just really went from there. It's been kind of crazy, the response, and I think that's kind of I don't know, maybe the best way, or those are the types of things that develop into cool things. But
it's you find that somewhere. It's the littlest twist on a theme or whatever, the littlest thing that ends up striking a chord with people. Like the simple act of just throwing a box over the bottle you're trying to blind.
Right. I love your little hitch, like that little hitch you did where everyone could see the bottle while you were talking about it. Was that the first one you did? Like that was killer. Just that little variation or whatever. It was awesome.
Yeah, I want to do that one again because it's fun, and what I always love about these blind stuff like that, especially in whiskey, and like, wow, this is going to be really bad because I'm going to be like insulting you here, but I love that, like, if your breadth of knowledge and like obviously you're the head of this brand and you're doing all this work with whiskey, but it's like it can even sometimes throw the wisest owl, no pun intended, for a loop. It just kind of goes to show that like just how much variation, all the different stuff that we can all find in these different whiskeys, and it kind of anybody can get thrown for a loop. So it's great practice and great kind of just fun and knowledge expansion, so to speak, for anybody.
It's hard. You get hooked on one thing, like one little nuance that sets you off. Like you get hooked and you follow that little, like you go down that rabbit hole, and you like now when I'm doing it, I have to be like, okay, I'm picking up this note or I'm picking this up, but sometimes, or I have to stop myself from not looking at some of the contextual components of the whiskey, because you all of a sudden you follow this all and do you know what I'm saying? Like you
end up going down like a weird little rabbit hole.
Oh, well, I mean, it's like you get something and you can't let go of that. And so you just hold on to it, and it changes your perspective. But blind is hard, man. I mean, just doing it like that, it's not easy.
Yeah. So like I got to ask, because I've always been curious about, so like me and my wife just the other day, one of the 8,000 movies we've watched in the past 48 hours. I revisited. There's that movie. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Somme, about the wine sommeliers.
Right.
And it's really crazy some of the work these people go through, especially for like the master level, and what they gotta. And they pick the terrier, the location, the region, the year. Do you think anybody will ever get to that with whiskey, like being able to like be that masterful and specific, if we'll ever develop that criteria?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes and no. I think there's I mean, I'm no expert, but I do think they're more, when you're working with something that's 14, 15% ABV versus, it changes things a little bit. But like I did a tasting one time for the, I don't know, it was a school, it was American wine school, something like that.
Mhm.
It's all these few aspiring psalms and stuff like that. And I was talking to them about spice and back end spice and like the peppery finish of whiskey, and I poured for them um, a Four Roses small batch, which is a very spicy finish, just a peppery finish, and like the group was split down the middle over whether or not it was black pepper or white pepper that they were tasting on the back end of this thing. And I got to the point I was like, it's 20 minutes out, it's
It's
pepper.
pepper.
It's just where we are moving on, and so I mean I think, and it's funny because I do think there are different types of tasters. There are people taste, there are the tasters that are good and bad tasters, and they're fun to taste with, and then there are the tasters who, um whether they use a flavor wheel or whatever, they're very articulate in what they taste, and they can identify certain things, and those are fun people to taste with. And then there are other people who are it's like when they taste something, and it it strikes it's like a memory taster. They're like,
Mhm.
this reminds me of that. It reminds me of a dish I had, or the smell of a place I was in, or like they, and so it's I enjoy tasting with people as much to just kind of watch how they um, you know interact with, whether it's whiskey or wine or whatever. But it's it's not, especially when you talk 100 proof, 100 plus proof. I mean, it's a lot different with a wine that you can really, your sensory abilities can get through,
Sure.
versus you get the higher proof, and I mean there's some numbing and deadening of the sensory abilities at a certain point. Does that make sense? You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
God, yeah, absolutely. Um, I think yeah, it's that's why I never quite, as much as I want to do it, I never quite get. I'm jealous of like those people who got to do those huge spirits competitions and stuff. They're they're tasting 30, 40, 50 things in a row on some days and thinking, I'm like, God, even at 40, 40% or something like that, that's a heavy day, even spitting it out and everything like that.
For sure. And I couldn't do that.
Uh,
You know, you know, the big, I think there are three components. I think the smell, the nose, I think the taste and how it reacts on the palate, and I think the finish. Like I can't evaluate the finish of a whiskey without swallowing it. I don't
yeah,
think a
yeah,
lot of times, and so I just, for me personally anyway, like that's a big, how it leaves your mouth. Like there are whiskeys I think they're beautiful, and then after I've swallowed them, I'm like, I need to scrape that off my tongue. Like I don't, and so the people that can do that and spit and everything, you know I don't know, maybe that's just me convincing myself that I need to drink more. I'm not really sure, but
um, on that note, and one last question, and then we'll get to it. So then, in that regard, so for you, like in a blending session or something like that, when you're messing with different ratios, and do you have like a certain like number of kind of tastes or things that like, all right, once I've kind of sipped through five or six of these, I got to have a break for a while, have some
yeah,
food.
I mean, you just get to a point and you're just, you I think I think I can really sit there and evaluate maybe four or five things before, um, you just kind of like I don't exactly trust. I don't even say trust, but you know what I mean. Like you need to be clean when you're doing it. I want to know. I want to know every bit of it. I want to feel every bit of it. And so it's funny because like a lot of times people are like, "Hey, we would love the experience to come blend with you for a day." And it's like, well, that, you know, I'll make 3 blends based on, you know, what I did the day before. Uh, but it's months long process
Mhm.
leading up to it. It's not like I don't just sit there like, oh, try this, don't worry, I try that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't start at 8 in the morning and try to finish
Yeah.
by 5. You know,
It's some
so
real
it's,
short
you
days if you did.
know, right. I need 3 naps.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, on that note, let's evaluate some of our own. Let's see what we got here. I guess we'll just let's just pour and we'll kind of we'll jog back and forth and then we'll get to a point where we reveal.
Yeah, so that's what's cool. Um we connected and I sent you a sample
Yes.
and you sent me a sample,
Yep.
and you know neither of us know what the other sent, so
Right.
we're not tasting the same thing. You're tasting something from that I sent you. I'm tasting something you sent me, and we're just trying to mess with each other.
More or less. Yes. It's just brilliant sabotage. Exactly.
Brilliant sabotage. I like it.
I'm gonna go here. Let's.
That's what's been the hardest thing about, like, I've gotten some stuff in the mail, and so you know, you don't know who's got what. You don't know what's. So this is blind on top of blind. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Exactly. The ultimate. It's the answer sitting here in this box, which I think that could be the. I think people should go nuts on decorating their box. Like get graffiti artists, make them out of like tin or something. That could be a whole thing. You can start selling these.
When I got my box at the post office, like I was walking out, you know, with my mask and everything on. Somebody was like, "That's a cool sticker. What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a wrestling with whiskey sticker."
You're damn right. That is really that is very soft and sweet, but not light. There's a lot of depth there underneath this like light and sweetness.
This is I this is a fabulous. There are these beautiful, sweet, like cinnamon roll, no, like cinnamon roll with the icing on them notes kind of thing
Mm,
in this glass. This is there's good. The nose has great viscosity. Like it's a thick. I don't think it's crazy high in proof, but it's a bunch of flavor. And I think initially I think this might have some age on it, meaning it might not be something recent.
mm. Yeah, this is
But I've been fooled before with this kind of stuff. This
yeah, of course. I think we've all been I've been convinced of stuff that I've had like the day before. I'm like, oh, I just had this. This is 100% this, and then it's not. Sugar, like almost like I'm getting icing too, almost like vanilla icing, like on a cake, along with some deeper fruity notes.
I don't. This is not crazy high in proof. I don't think. This may be something that has a finish on it.
Meanwhile, this is, I think this is medium proof. I think this is probably around 100, maybe a little bit more. If it's less, I'll be surprised. I feel like it might be weeded. It just has that. I might be wrong on the proof. This could be in the 90s. Feel like it might be weeded. It's just the soft sweetness, not getting a whole lot of like rye spice or floral anything.
But this one, it lays right across the middle of the palate, and but it's a very muted back end spice. If there's spice there at all. I don't think this has a whole lot of rye in it. I keep going back. I'm like, maybe this may be that same. What was that Jack Daniels finish thing that you did when the box was right beside you?
I thought it was. It was just a Jack Daniels barrel proof single barrel. I was convinced there was a finish on it. I thought it might have been like a brandy or a wine finish, but it was just barrel proof Jack.
Okay. There's a fruit note here, like a red fruit note. That's kind of, and again, I'm trying not to go down that rabbit hole of like that one thing that I can't get.
Yeah. The more I'm drinking this, the lighter and proof I'm thinking it is. This actually could even be in the 80s. I thought it was higher at first, but man, now that I'm used to it, it drinks very light. Yeah, I'm relatively convinced it's weeded. Thinking 80s or 90s for proof. I don't think it's super old. I think it's under 10 years if I were to be forced to guess. There's like a bitter drying note right at the end. Trying to think. Do you have any guesses in mind?
Yeah, I don't know why, and I'm trying to like this is not registering. This is not like something that I drink regularly. This is not as I would say, like one of the traditional Kentucky houses. I don't think. And that fruit note is throwing me off. And I don't know if it's like a subtle finish but it's not. It's lighter and proof. So now I'm into the Rolodex of what that could potentially be. It's not a wine note. Red fruit, grapey, mid 90s ish proof. Although now that's not as pronounced. I gotta work through this. I don't want to be so far off that I'm like it's a joke.
Well, you never want to be so far off. That's nobody wants to be. You just sometimes end up out on that island. That's okay. Sometimes that's almost more fun. Yeah, it's lighter and proof. I'm thinking it might be something from the Weller line. I really like it. And the last time I did like a blind of all the Wellers, actually, I ended up liking Special Reserve the most, surprisingly. I'm normally a 107 fan, but this is reminding me a little bit of that. It could be like a Maker's thing, but and again, so now I'm stuck on the weeded thing. So now that's the only options I have in my head because I'm convinced of that, even though it's probably wrong. But if forced to guess, I would say like Weller Special Reserve would be my that's my official log to guess.
All right, I'm going. I'm completely changing everything. I'm starting to think. I'm starting to believe this is probably weeded as well.
Oh, did I convince you? Was all my nonsense?
No, I think it's so clean. It's so clean at that line where you hit spice. It's just too clean to not to And I'm gonna also. It's so clean. I'm actually gonna go away from everything that I was saying earlier because I was not believing it, but I think there is a touch of a vintage note on this. I think there's something old about this.
Right.
I'm gonna say this is a Weller, like a paper label Weller, like Stitzel Weller, old from Stitzel Weller. Like I think there's enough now. It's getting a little bit. I picking up a little bit of the funkiness. I think I that's what I'm going with. This is an old Stitzel Weller. Um,
All right. Well, the Weller choices are in. They are abound today.
yeah, you know,
All right. Who reveals first? You want me to go first?
go first.
All right. I'm gonna move this in. So we have it here. You said you wanted to go away from everything you said before. Don't know if that was wise. 17
Oh, there.
short
I
finish.
was there. I
You
was
were
there.
there. You had
I was
it. You
there.
were you were pretty on.
There.
Yeah. You got the wine, the sweet notes, that kind of a finish. Not crazy high in proof. You were there.
Okay.
Trust your gut.
I know. I know.
Trust your gut.
Well, I was there for a little bit.
You were. You were. You just gotta it's gotta trust sometimes that thing you got going on.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah. It means you had good instincts, as they say.
Ballpark. I was in the ballpark for a little bit. For a
Yeah,
little bit.
100%. All right, hit me. How wrong was I?
You have the envelope.
No, I don't know. I misplaced the envelope. I thought you were just going to have the thing with you.
I don't have the bottle.
Oh,
So that is a 1985 Old Granddad.
really?
Yeah. It's National Distillers OGD, whatever, I can't remember. It's 80, I think 86 proof from 1985.
Okay. Damn. Okay. That was really enjoyable.
Oh, that is some
Yeah.
of the finest whiskey, I think. I mean, I could drink that stuff all day long.
Yeah, no, like I said, it drinks really light, but it's still a depth of flavor there, especially for being somewhere in the 80s on proof and everything. That was
Yeah, I think it's 86 proof. It's the 1985 Old Granddad, distilled at what is now Castle and Key Distillery, what was the old Taylor Distillery, uh, when it was owned by the National Distilling Company.
that's awesome. That is very cool. Well,
I was going through my stuff. I was like, what do I have? We did a bottle share, and so I had that sample bottle. I was like, what do I have that that I can share that's pretty neat. And I think that's some of the most beautiful whiskey. It was made at a different time. The way they produced was different. It's just phenomenal. And
yeah,
and that's what messes with you because of how complex it can be at such a low proof. Because there was very little, much less dilution in that 86 proof than there is in what you have at 90 proof today.
right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a testament to that older way of doing things, which is really nice. That was awesome. That was really, really, really good. But I mean, thank you for playing along with. Thanks for starting this nonsense and
But
all us whiskey geeks some fun stuff to do during quarantine.
I love it, dude. Let's do it again.
Hell yeah! So that was it. Russian with whiskey, whiskey in a box. My box is bigger than yours. That'll be the name of our weird probably not appropriate for younger viewers. But Dixon, seriously, thank you for coming on. And yes, we will do this again.
Dude, that was awesome. Thanks.
Cheers, man.